talking earlier about product development and product improvement, you had some questions for Maurice and Anthony.
Oh, of course, yeah. I got many questions other than that, but I want to focus on product improvement. So I heard about you guys, Insurtech, how we talked a lot about client, customer service, the importance of it. But we want to kind of like chime in a little on how do you guys consider when it comes to product improvement, improving the products? Did we talk to customers, or how is there any sort of surveys? Just pretty much, I want to give you guys input on how do you guys develop, how do you guys make the product so much better than before?
Yeah, I guess
you handle that one, VP.
Yeah, I'll start with that one. Great question. It really, we look at what's happening in the market and try to solve a problem, right? I think most companies will tell you that that's always a great place to start. But we also want to work backwards from the customer and identify what the pain points are in testing. Now, this happens through a collaborative, meetings with customers, listening to them saying, hey, I have this issue, that issue, going to the conferences. I mean, Dan, I just saw you up at a conference, and you gather so much knowledge at these places. That's kind of where we meet as an industry and say, hey, these are some of the challenges we're going to have in the future. How can we meet them through software, equipment innovations, and from there things start to you start to get formalize the idea for the product or for the software improvement or for what is really needed in the market. We hardly ever want to put something out there that goes backwards, right? That you start with an idea just at the company and then you try to bring it out to the market, really not addressing an issue, because I think that some companies can do that very well, but it's definitely a harder road ahead to try to place something like that. So the need has to be there, and then from there, once we do have the product development team behind us, once we get through the beta stage and the release stage, and the product's out in the market, then we look at the customer feedback loop. And that's really when salespeople need to slow down and listen. And that's hard for salespeople, especially somebody that I know. It's hard for them because they like to talk and they talk very well. But you really have to also be able to listen very well. And anybody will tell you that. That's like in sales 101, right? Don't just talk, listen. Listen to your clients. Listen what they're telling you. Have that empathy. And that's what we do, Miguel. We tend to, once the product is out there, do a lot of either surveys, ask the customer questions about the product. And it happens slowly, but you also have to be able to take that constructive criticism and apply it in a way that makes sense. Sometimes the customer will tell you, well, it'd be great if it did it autonomously, and we could have an antenna that beamed you up to Mars and we could mine Mars. And you're like, okay, that's awesome, but there's limitations. And you also have to think about who you're marketing the product to decide, is this something that's widely needed, or is this something a particular customer wants? And that's very true in product development, because product development, the hardware part of it, takes a lot longer to go through that process. In software, if you have a good development team, it can sometimes happen quicker, although it can be very difficult too. You have to test it and retest it and then test it again. So that's kind of the approach we take. It's just really looking to solve a problem in the industry through the many channels that we have available, getting the product out there, and then starting that process of listening and improving, for as long as the product needs to be out there. Some products come and go, some products stay for a very long time, so you kind of just take that approach. Anthony, what do you hear when you're out there and people are talking about our products? Do those light bulbs go off sometimes and you come back here? And I know we've had those conversations, right?
Yeah. I try to be as involved in the demo beta phase as possible so that we can go ahead and see what preliminary issues are happening. I mean, obviously, customer service and support and making sure that the quality of life using the product is most important. Obviously, if you can't use the product, then it's not a good product. So I think that ironing out the small little details up front so that people can get the most benefit out of using it and get us the most feedback possible is really the best bang for buck when it comes to creating a great product. The feedback loop, I mean, you nailed it. That's it. Just listening to the customers, trying to implement all the changes that we can,
Right.
and then keep the product moving forward so that it's growing with the industry and the new testing. That's pretty much the gist.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, I know we've developed a lot of software, and for our software, usually it's hey, the DOT now wants this, or you know, it's driven a lot by the government, right? And so we tend to have really good relationships with the State Department of Transportation, you know, the FHWA, all the drivers in our industry and around the world, really. But here in the United States, those are the main drivers. The big AASHTO, obviously, AMRL, listening to ASTM, and letting them kind of tell you, okay, here you're kind of missing here, or you know, if you need to add this report and it has to look exactly like this, and kind of using that for our software needs and what our customers use our software for. So that's a little bit.
I think you just answered all your questions in one. In one there. All three of those just got knocked out in one. So I think we're good.
But yeah, from your side, is that how your dev team works? Just you know, kind of that creative process that you go through?
I'd like to, actually, Miguel, you're actually bridge the dev team in Germany and with customers in terms of writing documentation and so on. What do you think? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, again, I want to pretty much say it again. We're a partner, right, in the industry. We listen to our clients. We listen to our customer. We listen to almost any request that we get. And we always try to make, you know, process improvement through our software too, right? So we always want to lay out all the important things, lay out the root cause, what's happening, you know, improve what the customer wants, you know, to be added or improved on the software. And we carry that out. We scope the work out. We, you know, through, you know, the basics of project management, right? We always carry out all the, you know, the idea all the way to an actual feature or a process using our software. So, you know, a lot of, you know, phone calls, meetings between, you know, the client, myself, and the dev team. You know, all of these all come all together. And I believe, you know, as time goes by, we always get better at it too. Because especially, you know, having the dev team overseas, you know, there's, you know, a lot of possible, you know, setbacks. You know, but other than that, it's just keeping everything together. I think communication very instantaneously is very helpful, you know, getting it out there. So anything you want to add?
Yeah, I would say a lot of times in software development, you know, people come to you. You talked about the feature that can beam you to Mars and back. You know, that's a feature we've been working on, but eventually we'll get there. No, but people will come to you and say, hey, it'd be really great if your software did this, right? And then we listen to them, and then inevitably our dev team in Germany will push back and go, well, why is that important? And what are you trying to solve? And then ultimately the solution that we provide, 9 times out of 10 will be better than the initial request. So slowing down and saying, well, what are we trying to accomplish? I'm going to give you a recent example. We had a customer that said, we'd like to do these linear control charts in the binder module. And we said, why? What are you going to do with it? And I was on board. I think, Stacy, you were on board. And then Germany came back and said, why would you do it that way? Why don't we just dashboard it in Power BI? It'll be cheaper and faster and live. And we said, well, that just makes too much sense, you know? So, yeah. So I think, to your point earlier, you know, listening and then really asking the question about why are we doing this? Like, what problem are we trying to solve? I think that's one of the things I've always appreciated about your organization as a former customer, was that you guys always were looking to find real solutions to real problems. And your organization and Ollie, you guys always have done a really good job of solving those issues.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment, Dan. Yeah, we definitely strive to, you know, always be a little bit ahead of the curve, right? I always say, you know, you're almost like a surfer out there. You guys are in California, so you're always trying to look for that next wave, right, and see it coming, and try to paddle a little bit ahead of it so you can catch it. And Ali and our R&D team has been very good at that, of seeing, and again, from a lot of help in the industry, from people that talk to us and see new technologies emerging. We've been able to partner with some companies, and also you know, with universities and people that we know very well to to kind of get ahead of that wave and be there with those products that we feel are going to be important to the industry as far as the the next leveling up of the industry. I think we went from we were just at a conference and they were talking about how we started with volumetrics back in the 90s, and now we're moving on to performance testing, which is really going to drive the industry probably for the next 10, 15 years or so or more. And we are really happy to be part of that. And I think from the laboratory side and the software side, I think LASTRADA has been able to level up everybody in the sharing of information, the reporting of information, and how they actually use this information, making it easier, more efficient. Let's let the machines do the crunching of the numbers, and let's us concentrate on what we're good at, and is doing that analysis and coming up with a product that's even better through all the testing we're doing and gathering of the data. So I think both sides are needed, right? We need companies like yourself that are dedicated to their customers and seeing these softwares really make them even better. And from our side, from the product equipment side, we're dedicated to these improvements that the industry thinks will really produce a better product because we're testing it a different way. So, awesome.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
All
I'm on
over
fire
it.
today.
You are. I mean, I'm sweating over here.
I know. It's not just the lights, huh?